This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Jeff Carter W. Welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy today may be a little controversial. Maybe more so than Elliot Eagleson, who I did yesterday, or maybe less controversial. But he is a sports commentator that a lot of people just cringe when they hear about him. Well, he's 53 years old today. Man, I thought he was like 60, but no, he's only 53 years old. He has 4 children, but his father was a fantastic American sportscaster, a legend. But now, this guy worked for Fox from 1994 through 2022. Fox didn't have sports on TV until 1994, and he worked with Fox all throughout. Now he moved to ESPN and will go to Monday Night Football. Oh, brother. Anyway, he is controversial. He is well liked, or just awkward. He is Joe Buck. Joe Buck was actually born in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the St. Louis Cardinals would conduct their spring training because his legendary father, Jack Buck, would do Cardinals games and all that. He was raised in the St. Louis area. He was an undergraduate at Indiana University Bloomington, but didn't graduate from the Hoosiers. Joe would call play-by-play for the Louisville Redbirds, the big minor league affiliate of the Cardinals, and actually was part of ESPN's coverage of the AAA All-Star Game in 1989. He would then do stuff for St. Louis' CBS affiliate KMOV. And Joe would actually do Cardinals games on local TV and radio, mostly when his father was on the CBS telecast. Of course, Jack Buck was taken off CBS because Pittsburgh had a hissy fit and all that. And for a few seasons, he was the play-by-play voice of University of Missouri basketball broadcasts. Joe would continue to call Cardinals games after Fox hired him, initially with his father on KOMX and then FSN, Fox Sports Midwest. His local workload would shrink because of his network duties increasing. And by 2008, he decided he couldn't do Cardinals games for the cable network anymore. And for the first time since 1960, there was no Buck family members doing the games for the Cardinals. I remember an early example of Joe Buck's broadcasting was when he was rotated with his father, Jack, and with, I believe, Mike Shannon in 1993 when Mark Whitten did his 4 home run game and all that. It was amazing. Joe Buck was hired by Fox at the age of 25, and he would be the main NFL broadcaster at 25. Well, Pat Summerall, but he was 25. Unbelievable. When I was 25, I was midway through my seller's career. Anyhow, he was actually named Fox's lead voice for Major League Baseball when Fox got the baseball package from NBC/ABC. He would team himself with Tim McCarver, who was a mainstay for CBS. And McCarver would actually be the color commentator with his father, Jack Buck, for the 1991 World Series. So at age 27, he was the youngest man to do a national broadcast for all 9 innings and all that. Surpassing Sean McDonough, who actually did the 92 World Series at the age of 30, although you would be forgiven for not thinking Sean McDonough was that old. He was probably 50. He looked 50, but his hair problems and all that. Ironically enough, McDonough was the guy who replaced Jack Buck as CBS's late baseball guy because CBS, and of course Pittsburgh, had a hissy fit. Jack Buck would call Mark Guire's 60-second home run that broke Maris' single-season record. Say, touch first, Mark. You're the new home run champion. So it was amazing and all that. Joe Buck would pay tribute to his father. Jack Buck, remember that Game 6 call in 1991 with Kirby Bucket? It says, "We will see you tomorrow night." Well, Joe would pay tribute to his father a couple of times. In Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS, when Big Poppy hit one for the Red Sox, Buck deep to right. "We'll see you later tonight," because the game extended to the early morning, and then that meant that later on in the day there would be Game 5. He also used the phrase at the end of Game 6 of the 2011 World Series when David Freese hit the walk-off in the 11th, saying, "We will see you tomorrow night." And it was 20 years and a day since Kirby Puckett's home run. So anyway, it was huge and all that. Jack Buck, aside, well, Joe Buck was paired with John Smoltz after working with Tim Carver from 96 to 2013. So anyway, so Smoltz, he would work with John Smoltz. Buck called 23 World Series and 21 World All-Star games for Fox, which is amazing and all that. Well, who has the All-Star game other than Fox for baseball? And the World Series has always been on Fox since 1998, if I remember right. I know NBC, no, 2000, because NBC did the World Series in 95, 97, and 99. Fox thing. When he was hired for NFL on Fox, Buck became the number 4 play-by-play man with Tim Green as his color commentator. After 3 years, he would stop doing NFL games to concentrate on his baseball duties full time. And Buck would fill in for Kurt Menefee in the 2001 season. However, Buck would be Fox's top guy in 2002 after Pat Summerall decided to retire. And of course, we can't forget about Joe Buck with Troy Aikman, the pairing that a lot of Americans had to deal with and all that. Chris Collinsworth actually was part of Fox and helping Buckets from 2002 to 2004, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Buck became the 3rd announcer to handle TV network's lead MLB and NFL coverage in the same year, following the great Kirk Gowdy for NBC and ABC's Al Michaels. So anyway, Joe Buck would be known for calling many games on Fox, including Super Bowl 42, the Miracle at the New Meadowlands, the Deshaun Jackson one in 2010, Super Bowl 51, the Minneapolis Miracle, and all them. Anyway. Famously, Joe Buck called a doubleheader in 2012 for 2 sports. The Giants and Niners were playing at 4:25 Eastern Time. And then he went on a 7-mile trolley journey for Game 1 of the NLCS between the St. Louis Cardinals and San Francisco Giants. He had a chance to do it again in 2018 when Fox would carry the Packers-Rams game from the LA Memorial Coliseum. And then it was before Game 5 of the 2018 World Series, 5 miles away at Dodger Stadium. But Buck decided to only do baseball because of the traffic concerns in LA, and he wanted to not lose his place for a potential World Series winner, which it happened. Meanwhile, so Tom Brenneman, the legendary Tom Brenneman, of course, he is off Fox for obvious reasons, which I will not get to. What did the game in LA? And funny thing is that Joe Buck actually would team up with Greg Norman to anchor Fox's coverage of USGA telecasts, including the U.S. Open. All that. Well, Joe Buck is now on ESPN. March 16th, about a month ago, they announced that Buck and Aikman were signed to a multi-year deal with the network. which would make him the new Monday Night Football guys in 2022 and all that. The move ended their 20-year tenure as Fox's lead broadcast team, which is amazing and all that. And as compensation for Buck leaving Fox with 1 year left, ESPN gave a Big Ten college football game to Fox. Small consolation, don't you think? Very small consolation. In the meantime, Joe Buck would host a sports news show Going Deep for Fox Sports Night Cable. He hosted the Joe Buck Classic, a celebrity pro and golf tournament in May, raising money for St. Louis Children's Hospital. And all that. Anyway, Buck has been in many commercials and all that. Joe Buck would actually make a guest appearance during a St. Louis Blues hockey game. Alongside Darren Payne and John Kelly, he discussed Jack Buck calling Blues hockey alongside Dan Kelly. Buck would take over play-by-play and all that for a little bit. He has been in several TV programs himself. He was in Pitch, American Dad, Family Guy, and The Tonight Show. Yeah. Joe Buck actually was a guest host of Jeopardy for 1 week, the week of August 9th, 2021, trying to find a new guy for Alex Trebek. Joe Buck actually competed in season 7 of The Masked Singer. But in the end, it was over. All that. So he got KO'd quickly. He's an 8-time Sports Emmy Award winner, 7 for play-by-play, 1 for studio host. And was given the Pete Rozelle Radio TV Award from the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2020, meaning that he's a Hall of Famer. Buck, unfortunately, is criticized as one of the most heavily criticized announcers in sports, saying he's very biased towards certain teams and all that. A lot of professionals. And Joe Buck even freaked out when Randy Moon pretended to moon the Green Bay Packers fans after the Vikings scored a touchdown in their divisional round game against the Packers. No, the wildcard game. And he simulated it. I thought he actually did it. Buck called it a disgusting act. All that. Yeah, he basically overreacted and all that. So he had a lot of issues and all that. Anyway. So Buck was married to Ann Archibald. Both to have 2 daughters, but he's now married to NFL Network reporter Michelle Basner in 2014, having twin sons. So he has 4 kids. Kind of awkward, but Joe Buck is an icon, an institution. Not in Canada though. That's good news. Anyway, I'm just having to do.